Hello and welcome back to another episode of To the Magic and Beyond. My name is Jordan and I'm here with my co-host Michelle.
Hey.
And we've realized that over the past few weeks of episodes that there's Disney lingo.
Lots of abbreviations.
That happens. Lots of abbreviations, lots of words that maybe you've heard before, like Pixie Dust, but like, what does that mean at Disney? You know, things like that. And while we try to make sure that we explain ourselves sometimes, like we realize this is our everyday language,
right?
And it's not
necessarily speak Disney.
It's not necessarily everybody else's everyday lingo. And so we thought it would be fun to do kind of a Disney lingo 101 type of episode where we go over some just some keywords that you might hear us say a lot. Michelle mentioned if you join a Facebook group or something for Disney pre your trip that you might see some of these things, and we just maybe wanted to go over some vocabulary, if you will.
Some are official,
yes.
Some are not official. Like they're just legendary. People just talk like that. Yeah. But some of them are like official Disney acronyms or abbreviations, whatever.
Other things are just stuff that over the years fans have begun to call stuff or whatnot. So for anyone, if you've been listening to the podcast the last few weeks, you haven't been to Disney, you're not as familiar with their parks, and you're like, the heck are they talking about? This episode is for you.
There you go. Yeah.
I will say producer Logan is newer to Disney, and so some of these things he has not heard before and or has heard us say, but kind of just went along like pretending he knew what we were talking about.
I feel like I get a lot of shade thrown at me for my Disney knowledge. I'm doing pretty good.
No, you do great.
Lack of knowledge.
It's not. We're not throwing.
But
shade.
I was the one that noticed in like our very first episode. Michelle said MDE like in casual conversation, and I was like,
what is MDE?
I don't know what she's talking about, but
what is
then we figured that out. So.
We're not throwing any shade at you because you're new. You've actually done a very, very good job in loving Disney, learning Disney, going along with all of our shenanigans. So we appreciate you. We're not throwing shade. We're just saying out of the three of us,
producing a show.
You have the least knowledge.
Well, and you know, we all have more members of our family than are here, and there's only 4 of us in this room. Meaning that not everyone wants to be a part. They hear enough.
Yes. So we appreciate you. No shade.
That's it.
But since you brought it up, we can start right there with MDE. You might hear us say it a lot.
That's right. MDE, My Disney Experience.
And this is the app.
Very important one.
It's not just an app. There's also a desktop version of it that you can also log into.
Yes.
2 variations. And this is going to be basically how you do everything at Disney now.
Right.
Technology is key.
It is. And they work just a hair different, and it's important to know that. So like the app on your phone for Android or iPhone sometimes will glitch a little more than the web-based will. So sometimes you'll hear people say they'll go online on a computer to book their dining versus and it actually even looks a little different, which isn't like we have apps where I work in healthcare, and so the app always works a little bit different than the desktop version. But it's the same information, it just looks a little different. And that's kind of what this is. But yet trip planning 101, even if you've got a vacation planner, you're going to need to be familiar with MDE. So,
and I should specify that MDE is specific for Disney World. Disneyland has its own app. It's not as, you don't do as much on it for Disneyland as you do Disney World, but you're still going to need it when you go. But that one's just called the Disneyland app. They don't have a special name. For some reason, Disney World decided that it needed a special name.
So big.
Yes.
So fancy.
While you're on that one, what's the difference in Disney World and Disneyland?
Oh, good question.
A lot of miles.
You can go back to MDD if you want. MDE if you want to.
I will just finish with the MDE of any time you hear us say that. That's what we're referring to.
For World.
For World. Big for your trip planning. doing your dining, your lightning lanes, linking your family together. So much stuff happens on this. And I will note that a lot of these things will have their own episodes. We'll walk you guys through exactly how they work, all the tips and tricks about it. This episode, we just kind of want to touch on some definitions. So if you hear it, you know what we're saying. So we will do an episode about my Disney experience.
Yes.
How to
maybe
work
even
it.
a little how to. Yeah. There's a lot of different
videos.
pieces to it. Yeah.
A lot of times for my clients, I will literally screen record myself making a lightning lane, so that way they see how it works. Yeah. So we are not going to leave you guys in the dark on these. So don't be like, oh, tell me more. How does it work? We promise we will. This is just
that's it.
Basic definitions. So. But yes, we can go Disneyland and Disney World as producer.
So Disney
Logan.
World, I'll take that one because I've not been to the other yet. Going later this year, Disney World, Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
That's Florida, right?
That's Florida.
Orlando,
yes,
Florida.
Yes, producer Logan, Florida. And it is the bigger footprint of the two.
Much.
Yep.
So,
second created, but
yes, second created, bigger castle. Not trying to ruin that for anyone. Not that size matters all the time, but it's bigger. It definitely, and the biggest thing that I would say is make sure you know which one you're going to, because the tickets only work at the place you bought them.
And
so if you bought Disney
non-refundable.
World, right? So if you buy land tickets instead of world tickets and show up in Orlando, Florida, they're going to let you spend more money and buy world tickets.
And just say at some point you have Disneyland tickets
for the next year.
Yeah.
We'll even push those out for you however long we need to. So where is land? Where's Disneyland?
Disneyland is the OG Disney. Disney park. Disneyland is in Anaheim, California. So literally opposite sides of the country.
So near Los Angeles.
Yeah, near the Los Angeles area. LAX typically the best airport for that one. But that's your original Disneyland that Walt started. There are only 2 parks there. It's a much smaller footprint. Everything's very close together because they just don't have as much land there. Once Disneyland had success, Walt realized, I need space to grow, which is why we ended up in Florida, and he bought all of the swampland down there for Disney World.
So cool.
Just want to make sure a lot of people confuse the two. There are other Disney parks around the world as well, but not as confusing. Obviously, if you're traveling to Hong Kong
or Tokyo, Paris,
you have a better idea. But Disneyland and Disney World get confused a lot, so we did just want to say that there is a difference.
And I've seen people, that whole ticket thing really happens, and people get really mad that Disney won't just fix it. Well, do some research.
Yeah. Well, and also fun fact,
listen to the podcast.
You would think it's all in the umbrella of the companies. It is all under the big Disney corporation, but the reason there's separate apps, all of this stuff, they're actually technically speaking separate companies.
Yep.
So that's why it's not as easy as you think it would be to just switch from one to the other, because it's not the same transaction system at all.
No. And and for a newbie like myself and producer Courtney going to land for the first time later this year, I've got the app now on my phone, and it is different, and the lingo's different.
Yeah.
A lot of things are different. Some things are similar.
Some things are similar and crossover, but there is a reason it unfortunately.
You're not a Disney World employee and picking up a shift at Disneyland next week.
Yes.
So
yeah. So there are differences. That's what can happen if you're there, but we did want to go over that since sometimes that can be an area of confusion as well.
What is LL?
So a lot of times you'll see LL written out. Some people just say it that way. If we ever say LL, we are referring to lightning lanes, which are like, great, what is a lightning lane?
What's a lightning lane?
That doesn't help me.
That doesn't help me. Yeah.
Which I could also say, it's what used to be called Fast Pass, which you're like, what's a Fast Pass?
But it also used to be called Fast Pass Plus.
And it's in Genie Plus. It has had lots of names over the years.
And it used to be free.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not.
Yes. But Lightning Lane, and this is changing all the time, so we'll update you if it does, but it's the current name for basically what is a skip the line pass.
Yep.
Used to be free, used to be something that you would just walk up to the rides, put your ticket in, you'd get a time to come back. Now it's all done on that MDE, My Disney Experience app, and you have to purchase it now. It is an extra cost that if you want to participate. But all that is just you're skipping the line. You're paying to not have to wait 60 minutes for a ride.
And there's 3 versions.
There are 3 versions. You have the multi-pass, which means that you're buying it that's basically going to cover the majority of your rides at the park. So that's can get you on. You can book as many of those as you want throughout the day, as long as there's availability, 1 time per ride. And then they have the single pass. There are specific rides, mostly 1 at each park. Magic Kingdom has 2.
Yep.
That are not included in the multi-pass, and that's why you can buy a single pass for them. So that's kind of a cheap way to think about it. You're just buying 1 pass for 1 ride.
You get to pick the time.
However many people you want, and you're skipping the line, but you are only purchasing it for that 1 ride.
Yep.
That is not included in your multi-pass. And then brand new. Very expensive, but if you want to do it, you go. They have what's called the Premier Pass.
Oh, I know. I just want it.
It's the dream pass.
It's the dream.
But Premier Pass, when we refer to that, is basically you don't have to schedule your times. You just walk up to the ride and go on it and skip the line.
Yep. No planning.
Yep.
You can do Magic Kingdom however you want. And in any ride that has a lightning lane.
Yep.
Has to have a lightning lane to be special. Because not every single attraction does or show. Yes. And the character meet and greets do not apply to lightning lane. They used to, but they don't currently.
Yep.
But you essentially you just walk in and go.
Yep.
That's it.
Is it unlimited?
It is not unlimited yet, although I could see that being an option in the future.
Yep.
So currently it's still that 1 ride per day, so similar to the basic multi-pass.
And you're still going to badge in.
Yep, you still have to scan in so they know if you've used it on the ride already. But it does not park hop with you.
No.
So just keep that in mind. You do have to pay per park. The Lightning Lane multi-pass will park hop with you. Yeah. So those are kind of differences.
And when we say expensive, just again, we'll do a podcast on these things later. But when we say expensive, we're talking $350 plus for Magic Kingdom for 1 day per person.
Yeah.
So we're not just talking crazy. It's really expensive.
It's a lot.
And so you're not going to see anyone in this room unless it's comped by somebody. And Disney, if you're listening,
we'll take it.
Shelley wants it really bad. I want to experience it 1 time. But, I would also like another annual pass. So you can give me one of those too. But yeah, so it's there. If that's your budget and that's in your wheelhouse, I think it's great. I think for people who are taking a once in a lifetime trip, that is definitely something that some people are going to spend on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it sells out some.
You're not going to buy it by accident. I can promise you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So Lightning Lane, that's what we're talking about.
All right, Jordan, what about this? I've heard it referred to as DAS. I've heard people say it that way. I've heard people say DAS.
Yes. And
what is it?
We did touch on this in one of our pre-trips if you guys heard it. But the DAS is the Disability Access Service Pass. And this is something that Disney has specifically for families if you have an individual or individuals who have special needs of some kind. It's not a skip the line like the lightning lanes are, but it's if you have someone in your family that typically for some type of it's not a physical disability, because if you can sit in a wheelchair, they're still going to have you
or a
sit
scooter
in that line. But someone that can't either, if they have anxiety, if they've got autism, like something that won't let them stand in a line for 30 plus minutes, then you can apply for the DAS pass, and you do have to apply for it. Not everybody gets accepted for it, and they are pretty picky about it these days because unfortunately it got abused, so they're having to be. But it basically lets you schedule whatever the wait time is at that moment. If it's like 45 minutes for the ride, you can basically schedule a time 45 minutes from then to come back and ride the ride. So you're still, in essence, having to wait one way or the other. But if someone has, for a safety reason, they can't just be stuck in the middle of the line and then they have a medical emergency and they can't get out of that line quickly, things like that.
And if you go back and listen to a pre and post trip for my hurricane trip that we talked about, we had some folks with us that actually use it. So I've used it. You actually utilize it on the MDE.
Yep.
It will not show up until your first park day, and you will actually see this little tile on there, and it actually says DAS on it, so you can't miss it. And so then you're going to book it a lot like you book the lightning lanes.
Yes.
But it's just and it's only for very small parties, like my group of 11. If someone in our group needed it, we're not all getting to utilize it. Only
typically
some immediate,
up to 4 people, unless you have an immediate family of like 5. They might make a.
But then with that 5, they'll go ahead and give you 5. They'll let all 5 have access, but not all 5 can do it.
Yes.
So like then you have to pick the 4 people in your family that are going to go, because we were part of that. So it's I think it's great. And the person
with the disability has to be one of the 4.
So if they're not big enough to ride Guardians,
you can't use it.
You're not using it for Guardians. So so it works out great. Good neighbor versus on property.
Yes. Phrases you'll hear us use a lot as far as considerations for staying. Good neighbor is what Disney has designated as other brands of hotels that are not Disney owned and operated, but they are somewhat on Disney property. They're close enough to the parks where you can easily get there. Ubering, some of them will have transportation, like the Hilton that you stayed at in your last trip.
Neighbor.
They are a good neighbor hotel. It's right next to Disney Springs, but it's Hilton owned and operated. Disney has nothing to do with the operation of them.
It was great.
They basically are just partnered with them. Sometimes they'll have similar perks to guests that are staying on a Disney operated hotel, but a lot of times, like with lightning lanes, you're not going to get to pick those until 3 days out. Whereas your Disney resort guests will get them 7 days out. So there are plus and minuses, but a lot of times the good neighbor resorts are good if you're on more of a budget, or if you have points like you had, made sense. But if you ever hear us refer to a good neighbor hotel, we're talking about a hotel that is close to Disney. You're still going to be right there in the action, but it is not owned or operated by Disney. They are simply partnered, and Disney has given them their stamp of approval. So they're going to be good quality hotels.
And I think they're getting, like right now, they get early entry.
Yes, they do. Most of them will get the early entry still. So there are some perks, whereas if you were staying, 30 minutes away at what we would say an off-site hotel would be.
Correct.
Those hotels, you're not going to get any perks for the parks. So there are some perks with staying at a good neighbor, but again, you're going to get the most perks out of staying at a Disney
and they
resort.
Do not utilize Disney transportation.
They do not. They do not
have their own.
They do have their own. A lot of times it's very limited though. So like you'll have 3 or 4 times in the morning that it runs. A couple times in the afternoon, and sometimes you have to pay for it.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to pay for it and get on a list. And also where they drop you is different.
Yes, it is very different.
Because they're going to drop you at the Ticket and Transportation Center at Magic Kingdom and not right at the gate. So versus the on property, which like you were just talking about, that's like we're staying at All Star Music. That's a Disney owned and operated hotel. They control everything about it. So you're going to get the most perks by staying there, get Disney transportation, all the things, whatever that transportation is. Could be a bus, could be the Skyliner, could be the monorail, or it could be a boat. So it could be any of those things. Actually, some of them have access to multiple. Depending upon where you're going. But and price-wise, it is not true that staying at a Disney resort is always more expensive.
In my experience as a travel agent, most of the time, a lot of the good neighbor ones are right up there with the all-stars, if not more expensive. Like a Hilton could
and easily... they might even have I know that Hilton had I think it was a $35, I can't really remember.
The resort fee.
The resort fee. So whether you have a car or you don't have a car, you're going to pay the resort.
A lot of them will have a resort plus a parking fee.
So like...
do your research if you're looking into it. But the good neighbors are there. Like I said, if you're someone that has the points racked up and you'd rather use those, that could be a reason to
Marriott
stay.
points, Hilton points, whatever point hotel chain you use, you can probably find one near it.
Yeah, if you're booking last minute like you did, there wasn't availability at the All-Stars, so that was your cheapest option for the night. So lots of reasons why you might, but if you ever hear us say Good Neighbor Hotel, that's what we're referring to.
All right. Rope drop. Pretty simple.
We got a whole episode on
rope drop, but there's not really a rope anymore. It's kind of sad. I really like the rope, but you're going to get there early. You're going to get to the park before the park opens.
Actually opens
to the public who's not staying at a Disney resort. There's also what we call second rope drop, which is going to be for folks that are going to get into the park at the opening
regular
time.
Park
and
open.
You're going to figure out where's the best place, what's not open. Let me go get in line for what's not been open and might not already have a ride. And that's pretty much in a nutshell that one.
Basically lining up to then go get in your lines.
Yes. line up to line up to line up.
Yes.
Let's see. Park hopper.
Yes, already mentioned it a couple times in this episode. Very casually. But park hopper is basically it's an upgraded ticket, typically costs more money. But when we say park hopper, it means that you have a ticket that allows you to visit multiple parks in one day. Your base ticket is just one park per day. Park hopper means that you can access any of the parks in one day. And you would just literally hop from park to park.
Yeah, and you'll see people out there on Facebook. On these groups, there's a big thing that goes around, which is the 4-park challenge.
Yes.
Where sometimes it's ride a ride plus eat a certain snack at each park in one day.
Yeah.
So, hey, people that are like me.
I would love to do that one day.
Yeah, I do too. It's like on my list.
Yeah.
That's one. I've seen people actually fly in same day, do the 4-park challenge, fly back out the same day.
That's risky business.
That's real risky business. But I think I would like to try it.
Yeah, you don't have to pay for a hotel.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go.
Yeah.
Magic bands.
Magic bands. You're probably thinking, what magic wand? Like, what is this? But a few years ago, Disney decided to roll out a program called Magic Bands. Now, most of the time, you'll probably also hear Magic Band Plus. That's the newest version of them.
Yep.
But they're essentially a wristband that you wear on your wrist. It's real cute. You can get all sorts of different designs. You can just get a plain color if you want. Varies in price. Typically, I feel like starting around $34, $40.
Again, the planes used to be free.
The planes, when they first rolled them out, any resort guest got them for free. Now everybody has to pay for them.
Yep.
But you can use them multiple times. But it's essentially a wristband that is linked to your MDE account. And so what this does is it acts as your room key. It can be your park ticket. It can, when you're signing into those lightning lanes, you can use it to scan in. If you want to purchase food, merchandise, if you've got a credit card attached to your My Disney Experience account, which it makes you do, you can just scan your wristband, which makes it kind of dangerous for kids. So just be careful with that one.
Has a pin for that? Yeah, you gotta
there
have
is
a pin.
Yeah,
and it's every single person has a pin.
Yes,
not just like it's not like, well, if I have a pin, then they just use my pin. Each band has a pin.
Yeah. So they do make sure, they try to help that with the credit card, but essentially it just makes it easy to access everything throughout the day if you don't want to constantly have your phone out or any of that stuff. So it's a good investment if you want it, but you don't have to have it. But if we ever refer to Magic Band or Magic Band Plus, that's what we're talking about.
Dining plans. Dining plans are great or not great, depending upon the person that's using them. I've used them. I can think they're great. I can also know that sometimes I can save money. Might not this time. Not sure. Was going to do it. Going to do it again probably. But there's 2 levels now. There used to be 3 back pre-COVID. Now there's only 2. Yep. So tell me about those.
You've got it's just called the Disney Dining Plan, which is your top level dining plan. And that's going to basically what this is you're prepaying for your meals. So if you're someone that wants to have your meals prepaid and not even have to worry about budgeting that in once you get there, it's a good option. And so the Disney dining plan, you're going to get 1 quick service meal included every day, 1 table service meal, and then 1 snack. And now when I say it's per day that you're staying, but you can use them however you want to.
Yep.
They'll roll over throughout your stay. You do have to use them by the end of your last day. Once you check out of your hotel, it's gone. So if you've got some extra credits, sorry, try to use them before you check out. But after your checkout day, they're going to disappear. But you'll get a quick service, a table service, 1 snack per day that you're staying on at a Disney resort.
And I think you can use them on checkout day till midnight.
Yes.
If you've got
it's
them,
midnight.
but you're not getting them for that.
No.
It's only for the nights that you stay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's a good use if you know your family's going to eat. They like to eat a lot. You want to eat at your character dinings, things like that. You can go ahead and just prepay for it and not worry about it. The other level is just the quick service. So you'll just get 2 quick service meals instead of 1 of each, and then your snack. And now, of course, drinks are included in this. You don't have to pay extra for your non-alcoholic drinks on the quick service. There are some alcoholic drinks that are included in the Disney dining plan.
Yep.
So it'll include all of that. And so it's just a good way to prepay. But anytime we talk about dining plans, that's kind of what we're talking about, where you just prepaid for your meals and then you make your reservations at your restaurants if you have the table dining. And if you've just got the 2 quick services, you just walk up. Again, it's going to be linked to that MD account.
Yep.
And then you'll scan your account, your Magic Band, your phone, however you have it. They'll take off a credit for your meal, and then you're good to go.
Go ahead and talk about quick service, table service, and character dining, because those are all keywords we wanted to talk about too.
We do have those as keywords because some of you might be
And you just use them a lot, and we always use them a lot. So go ahead and just briefly touch on those.
Yeah. So let's see. Character dining. That's a simple one. I'll take that one because I love some characters. So at table service restaurants is where character dining is going to be. So that's
some of them.
That's a sit down. That's a sit down. And so you're going to, Mickey Mouse, Daisy, Donald. They're different for different things. Some are princess. There's one... and they're in the parks and they're at resorts.
Yep.
So they can be anywhere. But those are going to be pricey. Like $70-ish example, right? Per person. Plus tax.
Yeah.
Plus gratuity.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at the dining plan and it's running, let's just say it's $97 per person per day.
Like you've been doing the math all night.
I've been doing some math lately. And you're looking at that. Okay, well, if you're doing that day, it's going to win. Because why? Because the counter service is what a lot of people think of as what?
Fast food.
Quick service, counter service, quick service.
Yeah, you'll hear it referred to both ways,
Same
counter
thing.
Service or quick service, but it's your fast food.
Yeah. So that's going to run you anywhere from $10 to $15 probably per person. So if we were doing dining plan and we're at $97 per day and we were doing a character meal, we were at $70 before tax.
Yeah.
Another $15.
Yep.
You're right there in the ballpark.
Yeah.
And then what else was it, Logan?
Table service.
Okay, table
Just the
service.
3 different levels.
So table service can be without characters. So Tony's,
just
for
a
example.
nice sit-down
Nice
restaurant.
sit-down, good quality food.
Server comes to your table, takes your order.
Yep, you're going to have to leave gratuity because they're waiting on you. And you probably need a reservation. Sometimes you can do walk-up.
Yeah,
but a lot of times
depends on the day.
Depends on the day and the crowd level.
Yeah.
Quick service is great for you're still trying to truck through the parks and get as much done as possible.
Yeah.
And you don't want to spend a lot of money, but you need to eat something. You want more than a snack.
Yep.
Table service is kind of that nice meal, family meal,
Take
sit
a
down and
break.
relax, take a break, and pay a little bit more. And then
Yeah, a character meal is going to take you probably where hour and a half to 2 hours.
Right. And that's for the experience.
Correct.
Yeah.
Along with
Sit
everything
down
else.
meal, at least an hour. Right? I've been in and out in less than an hour, but about an hour.
Yeah.
Right? And then counter service, you're going to walk up. Some have air conditioning, some don't. That kind of thing.
But you can make it as quick as you want,
Yep.
or you can still sit there at your table and relax for a little bit. We've done that too.
And I'm going to throw this one in there, out of order. Mobile order.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we mobile order, Jordan?
Your mobile ordering is going to come in handy for all of your quick service, counter service meals. Some of them only have mobile order now.
Yeah.
Some of them you can still go stand in a traditional counter line and order your food, but your mobile order is going to end up on your MDE account.
Yes.
So this is another thing that you're going to need that My Disney Experience app for while you're at the parks. You'll go sit down at a table at your quick service restaurant. You're going to pull up your app. There's going to be a dining option. You click on that. It'll have you select whatever restaurant you are at, and then you can look at the menu, go ahead and online order just like you would if you were online ordering from your favorite restaurant at home. Very simple process. You hit order, it gives you a number, and it'll tell you as soon as it's ready, and then you go pick it up at the counter.
And it'll even let you can actually pick a time.
Yes,
so
true. You can preset it up if you want to.
And I will recommend during busy times, if you know, like you already know, like for example, I already know I'm going to eat at Sleepy Hollow at Magic Kingdom because I like it, and it has the fresh fruit Nutella waffle, and it's my jam. But I'm going to probably set that up that morning because there's only so many slots. Right. So you can very quickly be very hungry. And if it's a mobile order only restaurant, you might miss out.
Yeah.
But I will say most of them you can walk up and order.
Yeah. I haven't had any yet that where it was like, it's going to be an hour for your food.
And I will tell you this, Disney, being the smart folks that they are, they like to push things because they can plan for it. They know how to staff. So mobile order is one of those things that day. They may push and may actually push you if you speak to a cast member. Did you mobile order? You should mobile order. You can mobile order. Right. But then you should follow that up with, right, I know I can.
But do I?
But I'm not going to. I would like to walk up and order. Now, there's going to be a wait. There's going to be a line, and they don't let those lines get out of hand anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to let it trail. They may make you wait outside a rope or the door, but you can still do it any way you would like to.
Yes, absolutely.
We were at Memory Maker. If you want to go Memory Maker.
Yes, because I've got that coming up.
You do have that coming up. Memory Maker sounds... this one might be one you could probably figure out, but Memory Maker is what Disney World, this is Disney World's side of it, calls their photo package. So basically you can prepay for this in advance. You have to have it added on, I believe, 3 days before your trip, or you may not get those first couple of days of your pictures. So make sure you've got it added in. But essentially what it includes is Disney has photographers all around their parks. Even some of the Disney Springs area, sometimes at the resorts, just depends on what's going on. But they have professional photographers that will take pictures of you and your family in front of, the castle or the Epcot ball. If you do the character meet and greets, they're going to have professional photographers there. And what Memory Maker does is it basically gives you unlimited digital downloads for all of the pictures that are taken on your trip. So it's a really great value if you love pictures, if you want to make those memories last, the Memory Maker. It's a really great thing to have.
Ride photos.
Ride photos are on there. Just so you've got unlimited downloads. I think they do disappear after
yes, they do.
A certain amount of days.
It'll warn you. I feel like it's 90 days.
Yeah,
Courtney.
I think so.
I think it's 90 days. I've got some that have already fell off, but you can download them to your phone. If you've got a flash drive, you can download them from your laptop because you can log in and do that. And I will say that if you're going to want to purchase, if you're a person who's going to be like, oh, I'm going to want that castle picture from the professional, I'll just go ahead and let you know. It's going to be cheaper to just purchase
the whole memory.
It's just going to be cheaper. You used to could go. I remember the days of you got the little tickets and you could go and to the photo place before you left the park and they would print your photos. And it was so much per sheet. This is still cheaper than that. So it's gone up over the years, but it's still, I think, worth the value. So
it's definitely a great value, and only one person from your group has to buy it. So
we already talked about early entry a little bit, if you want to touch on that. But
early entry is very simple. Got to be staying at a Disney resort or a good neighbor hotel that offers that with it. You're going to get into the park of your choice 30 minutes early for the theme parks, not the water parks, but the theme parks. And so, and when we say get in, people are already going to be there. Just FYI, we've kind of done the rope drop podcast and all, but like the gates you're going to get in and attractions are going to be running at that time.
Yeah.
People are already going to be there and lined up. So if you're coming in at the tail end of it, don't rush.
Yeah.
Because there's already going to be people there.
Yep.
So we've already done that one.
DVC.
Ooh.
And you know well about DVC.
Disney Vacation Club. I won it.
We are not members.
And I am not a member. But I have a friend who is a member who just kicked me some points for free as a Pixie Dust.
Yes.
We
Which we'll do
have to
next.
cover Pixie Dust.
Yes, we'll
By the
cover
way.
that in a minute. But no, Disney Vacation Club is essentially Disney's version of a timeshare.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom used to work.
Yeah,
for,
my mom used to work for them for a while.
So like they've got a bunch of resorts. Those resorts are all considered deluxe.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about that in a minute, but that would be Disney's top line of resort. They're really nice. They tend to be bigger than the standard hotel room. They have all the same benefits of all the other resorts. Matter of fact, most of them are at a resort. A good example of that is the Contemporary Resort that the monorail runs through has something called the Bay Lake Tower, and that's Disney's Vacation Club.
Yeah.
So you can stay at some of those big fancy resorts, but a little bit cheaper, just being honest, because you can get those points and you can rent them. There are places that rent them. You can also get them straight from Disney, and it's going to cost you just the same amount as that other hotel room that's at the Contemporary. So it might be $600 a night. I will tell you that my experience renting points, half the price.
Yeah.
You can rent them through legitimate sites. I don't go through just people typically, but you can rent them. But it's, and they're adding different. I know Polly just actually added a section there.
Yeah.
What's Polly?
The Polynesian
Thank you.
Resort.
You're welcome resort.
See how often we use these words just in casual
I
conversation?
know. So the Polynesian resort is
that we're
on
talking
the
about all these.
monorail.
Yeah.
So it has a lot of people like it. It's Hawaiian themed.
Yes.
It's so cool. I want
Very
to stay there too.
cute.
Very cute.
One day.
One day. Yep. Backstage.
Yes. So backstage, most people will be like, duh, it's like backstage at a show. Which you're not wrong. There are that type of situation of backstage at Disney because they have shows and they're backstage. But Disney and Walt specifically always wanted to make things a little bit more magical at his parks. So kind of a twofer here. You've got backstage and cast members. These are kind of two terms you're going to get heard a lot. And again, you could say that all deals with the play, which you were right. But at Disney, their employees are called cast members. They don't call them employees there, so you'll always hear them say like, oh, go talk to a cast member. So if someone says that, they're referring to a Disney employee. And when the Disney cast members are basically behind the walls that guests don't get to go to, so where their break rooms are, if there's cut-throughs that they can use to get from one land to the other, this is what they refer to as backstage. Again, it's just more of a friendly, nicer sounding term.
So piggybacking off of that, utilidor.
Yes. All three terms that you're going to hear that describe bits and pieces of Disney that are basically just their, cast member only areas. But the utilidor is a specific backstage area of the Magic Kingdom. So fun fact, Magic Kingdom is actually built on top of all of these little tunnels that run underneath the park that connect all of the lands for the cast members to walk through. That's where their break rooms are, costumes, shortcuts, all of that stuff. And the reason that Walt built this utilidor is he believed that at Magic Kingdom, he didn't want you to see a cast member who maybe works in Tomorrowland, which is one of the areas in Magic Kingdom, walking through Frontierland because that's where they, are having their break that day.
Yep.
Very much didn't want to, I guess, break character if you're thinking of it in a... It's one big play that's going on.
Yeah.
So in order for it to not ruin the magic and you see a cast member from one area of the park walking around in another area of the park, they built those utilidors so that way they can easily get from one side to the other and nobody has to see it.
And they're so cool because I got to use them once.
Yes.
Yes. So, and I've been backstage and that too was so cool.
Yeah.
But if you're worried that, look, the average person is not going to go backstage most of the time. or through Utilidor.
Yep.
Sometimes you'll see backstage a little if you have to be rescued, evacuated from a ride, right? Because you have to come out differently.
Yes.
But most of the time, not.
Yeah.
And so you won't have to see that. There is a tour, fun fact, if you would
VIP
like to
tours.
see a little bit. You can go see that. You can pay, I think it's around $100-ish.
Is there a term you guys use? Is it plaid vest or something like that?
Oh.
That's not on here, but isn't
I
that the
wanna
tour?
be I want to be a plaid vest.
A plaid vest?
Yeah, I actually just want a plaid vest to take me around the park. That's a VIP tour, of which is also very pricey now. But a lot of times you'll see the plaid vest with they're a cast member.
Yep. Literally wearing a plaid vest.
They literally are. You can't miss them.
Hence the name.
Yep. They're usually I will say this. They're usually a Disney cast member with some experience.
Yes.
This isn't their first gig. They've done something else. Maybe they ran Small World, and then they kind of worked their way up into customer service, and then ended up in this plaid vest. And so they're going to lead groups. Sometimes you'll see them in customer service. They're kind of like a supervisory kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of times. Super helpful, usually very knowledgeable.
Yes. So if you ever hear us say our plaid vest buddies, good.
Yes.
That was a good one, Logan.
Thanks. I just remembered it.
Yeah, good job.
Let's put these two together. Not that they're exactly the same, but single rider and child swap and rider switch. Those are both very specific ride terms.
Yes, they are. Do you want to do this one?
Well, I'm going to take the simple one. I'm going to take single rider. Single rider is exactly what you would think. You're single and you're a rider. So you're going to go through a special line if that ride has one. Rock and Roller Coaster, off the top of my head, has that. At Hollywood, Everest has a single rider, right, Courtney? Animal Kingdom.
Universal Studios uses them a lot.
Yeah, Universal Studios, you're going to come across more single rider options there than you will
Test
at
Track
Disney.
at Epcot has a single rider line. I utilize that.
Yeah.
Sometimes when my family is on, say, Guardians, and I want to ride something and that's open, I'll cut through that. Usually it's going to decrease the time. I say usually.
Yes.
Because sometimes it backfires. It doesn't work at Universal or Disney. And you end up waiting in line longer. Depends on the ride loading mechanism. Depends on all that kind of stuff. Like how quickly does the ride stop and then take off? How
many people are typically in a row for the line is a big difference.
Yeah, and what they're looking for. So like for me on Test Track, it was always quicker, but you're sitting 3 across?
It's 3, yeah. So they end up having a lot more spaces on rides that have 3 across.
Have a friend.
Because they'll essentially, what they do is they fill you in with a party that doesn't fill up the whole ride vehicle.
And they will tell you very quickly, hey, you're not going to ride with your friend.
Yep.
Okay? Sometimes you'll still ride with your friend.
Yeah, you might be in the same cart if it's a roller coaster, same car at Test Track.
Yep.
But you will more than likely be riding by yourself. So just make sure you're okay with that if you do that option.
Child swap, rider switch.
Child swap / rider switch. You'll hear both of the terms switched out. But essentially, if you've got a child that is too short to go on a ride.
Or just doesn't
want to. Yeah. If it's a kid that's scared, but you've obviously, one parent has to stay with the child, and it would be super unfortunate if you had to wait for the first half of your party to wait an hour to go on said ride, and then now you get to wait an hour and go on said ride. What they have is the child swap option where you can it depends on the ride. Sometimes they wait in line with you. Sometimes now Disney's kind of working a new system where they basically give you a pass to go back in.
Yep.
So it kind of depends on the ride. You'll have to ask a cast member at the front of the line, like, hey, we're wanting to do child swap. What's that process here? And they'll tell you what that ride specifically wants. But essentially it allows the parent and maybe your older kid who can go on it, or maybe if you're just two parents with one kid, they can go on the ride, and then once they get off, you swap that child to the parent that just went on the ride, and then that parent or family member can now ride the ride themselves without having to go all the way back through the queue.
Yep. So it usually goes through Lightning Lane, and
usually they'll send you through the Lightning
much
Lane.
quicker and that kind of thing.
So if you are in need of that situation or you hear us talk about it, that's kind of
and you're gonna see there's usually out like if you're at Slinky Dog and you need to do that, there's the folks that do, the cast members that do that. They're going to be right there at that ride. There are people set up at those rides where you can just go up and say, hey, I got to do this, and you can get it done. And it's usually pretty quick. They've got these little iPads that actually have the little magic band thing on there. It's kind of cool. It's a Mickey head, and it's, usually you're going to get in and out of there quick.
Yeah.
Dark ride, simple. Dark ride.
You would think, but I'd never heard that.
He the other day, he's like, "What's a dark ride?"
A lot of times you'll hear people like talk about these dark rides. They're classic. Walt kind of had this classic Inside, Small World, classic dark ride. Peter Pan, classic.
Winnie the Pooh.
Little Mermaid.
So there are going to be lights inside. It's not that it's pitch black. Pirates of the Caribbean. It's just it's usually a ride that you can think of for anybody. Most anybody can ride these rides.
Yep.
Snow White Scary Adventures used to be one at Magic Kingdom, but it really was scary. And it was a dark ride, and anyone could ride it. But yeah, so they're just the classic rides. You can think of that. Land has them too. And so when we talk about that and we say that, it's usually just one of those. Now, one that is a dark ride that's not necessarily a classic, but it's newer, is Navi. And that's where you guys are going soon, Animal Kingdom. Yeah. So that's just
a classic ride through the story.
That's it. No excitement. The only one that I can think of off the top of my head, Pirates. And then over at Epcot, Frozen, right?
Yeah.
Classic dark ride, but with a little bit of action.
Space Mountain's very dark.
Might have
Does that count?
No. Okay. Shelley, that is not Shelley's classic dark ride. That's a roller coaster.
No.
Yeah, no,
it is count. Dark, but it's not a dark ride.
Frozen, and I don't even think about like Frozen being scary until I took my people in October. And the little girl, like that whole, there's a little drop.
A little bit of a drop.
It's a little bit of a drop, and the big bumble there, the snow monster, and so it's a whole thing. But anyhow, Imagineer.
Yes, if you hear Imagineer, people are typically referencing the wonderful human beings that think up all of the rides and the cool designs and stuff at Disney. Yep. They could just call them an engineer. That's kind of where the inspiration for the word comes from. But your Imagineers are all of those people that create the awesome rides that we get to go on, and the scenery and the lands and all of that stuff. So if you ever hear someone talking about an Imagineer, that's who they're talking about, of the people that created it all and gave us those iconic rides.
Yeah, I gotta love it. And then Pixie Dust.
We talk about this a lot.
It's free.
I want to do a whole episode on Pixie Dust.
I know. Pixie Dust is like great, and it can mean different things. Sometimes other vacationers, Pixie Dust, other people.
Yeah, it's not just Disney that Pixie Dust.
Right,
people.
like sometimes I've seen people like they'll make little.
Weird.
They'll like print 3D things on these 3D printers, and they'll bring them and they'll hand them out.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. Sometimes I've seen people make things and bring them for the cast members.
Yeah.
And they're pixie dusting them. But most of the time when people are talking about pixie dust, what they're talking about is sometimes at Disney things happen.
Yeah.
And when something bad happens at Disney, sometimes, not all times, please do not think that Disney has to do anything special for you because Space Mountain broke down.
Yeah.
Okay, they kept you alive.
Yeah.
That's really all they needed to do. Okay, there's no lawsuit. You're happy. They're happy. You'll write it later. Okay,
yeah.
It's an inconvenience. But sometimes you will actually, they'll do something for you. I can remember when the Skyliners, and that's coming up, so we can tie that in. But the Skyliners had a few bad accidents when they first rolled out. Crashes. No one died. It was okay. No one fell to their death or anything, but it was pretty traumatic, I think, a few of those. And some folks got pixie dusted some really nice things. So much so that I'm one of those weird people that I want the ride to break.
So you can get
I'm okay with Splash Mountain
sinking
with me on it. Wet. I'm not going to drown. I can swim. It'll be okay. But typically you're going to get a nice little package of some type. Might be some free park tickets, might be a shirt. Sometimes, guys, it's as simple as a lightning lane because something bad happened, or I actually had this happen on our vacation once a long time ago where we had a big trip with a large family. of us going, and one of the people in the family member tried to link up, and we lost all our magic. Oh, no. We lost all our Fast Pass Pluses.
Yeah.
That I had gotten 90 days out and worked real hard to get. We went to customer service, and we ended up with extra.
Yeah.
Because they felt bad for us. We were there over an hour, and they just gave us something for free. So, Pixie Dust, a room upgrade.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not always necessarily if a bad thing happens. Sometimes, like, Disney cast members are really great about just trying to make somebody's day better. They're always on the lookout. And sometimes they just see a family, and they're like, hey, we want to give you this opportunity. Or, hey, here's a shirt, here's a lightning lane. And sometimes one of the most common ways to get pixie dusted is sometimes Disney will upgrade your room. So you could be
staying. Had it happen, it was really great.
Yeah, you could be staying at one of the all-star resorts, and they're like, hey, you know what? We're going to put you over at Animal Kingdom Lodge just because. You know, so
and you could turn them
just
down
be because they want
like,
to.
I don't know why you would
for no extra cost. I should say.
We actually have only had that happen in a big way like that once, and we were in a Little Mermaid room at Art of Animation, and we were pixie dusted before we ever got there. They put us in a Lion King suite.
Yeah,
that was sweet.
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah,
I was singing in the shower because it's very themed. But there's that. And then I forgot a couple years ago we were pixie dusted. My friend had beat cancer, and we were there celebrating the end of her chemo and everything. And we were treated to, from Steakhouse 71, a server actually got us access to the Top of the World Lounge fireworks observation deck. And we got to watch the Halloween fireworks
from the deck
that you can't just do unless you're part of DVC.
That's
so
awesome.
It's a great thing.
Yeah. So basically just magical
good
moments,
happening.
Good things happening, that extra magic, whether it's because of an incident that happened or just because a cast member was like, hey, I want to do this for you. Or other guests, like you said.
Right. But one tale of caution. Please do not think a temper tantrum or you just being unhappy and yelling at a cast member is going to get you pixie dusted. Yeah. That will get you kicked
crop
out.
Dusted.
Yeah, crop dusted. That's a good one.
No.
Disney crop dusted. That's awesome. Because it will happen. You will be kicked out, maybe forever.
Yeah.
Trespassed. And so these folks are there trying to make your vacation the best that you possibly can have. So be nice to them and don't expect anything. Pixie dust happens when you're not looking for it.
Yes.
Skyliner.
You mentioned those before. Skyliner is just another mode of transportation that Disney has. They've added them recently, but it's basically like a big old gondola. If you've ever been to like a ski resort or something, it's a type of a ski lift looking thing that will take you from certain resorts to certain parks. It's not all over the property, but essentially it goes from Art of Animation Resort, Caribbean Beach, Pop Century, Riviera, and it makes stops at both Epcot and Hollywood Studios. So if you're staying at any of those resorts, it's super fun. Just a unique, fun way, kind of an extra ride, right? Yeah. It's like a ride in and of itself.
Even if you're not staying in one of those resorts, you can just get on at Epcot and ride it wherever, but it's not going to take you to your resort.
Yes.
If you're not staying there.
So talk about the minivan as well, because that's another transportation.
Oh, I love it.
Minivan.
Oh, it's part of Lyft. So you go into your Lyft app. So just like everybody knows what Lyft or Uber is, at Disney, they have partnered with Lyft currently. That could change, but it's with Lyft right now. And you're going to go in and book a ride. You want to go wherever you want to go on Disney property. The only people that can do one from the airport are the deluxe guests. So Contemporary, Polynesian, Grand Floridian. And those are really pricey. You can get there much cheaper with Mears Transportation or with, just a regular Uber or Lyft.
Yeah.
But I've used them on Disney property. They're a little bit more expensive. Okay. They're double what a regular Lyft is. I'm sorry. They're double. But you get to ride in a cool Chevy Suburban that is decorated like Minnie Mouse.
Yeah, it's
got
cute.
Polka dots. It's really cute. Here's the greatest thing for me about them. Number one, you're going to have the best ride experience ever because it's part of Disney. They're going to do it right. And they do. We've used them a handful of times. The second thing is it's going to drop you where regular Uber and Lyfts can't. So it's going to drop you They have a special section right where all the Disney buses let off.
Yeah.
This is mostly important at Magic Kingdom because you don't want to go to the transportation center if you can help it, right? So the minivans let you off at Magic Kingdom, but most importantly, you get a great Disney employee cast member who is your driver, and they know fun facts. They pick up if you want to talk or you don't want to talk, but they can tell you all sorts of things about Disney because this is not their first job.
Yeah.
So that's I
great.
love them.
Yeah.
Okay, we're running out of time, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a lightning round. I'm going to read the rest off, and you touch on them quick, okay? I'm just going to read it off, and you just touch on them quick. All right.
Excited.
And this one's a tough one. E-ticket.
E-ticket. I have the definition. E-ticket was originally from Walt, right? It's a e-coupon was a type of admission ticket used at Disneyland and Magic Kingdom theme parks before 1982. Now,
what does it mean now? Yeah,
now it really means top tier attractions. So e-ticket are the new Guardians of the Galaxy, Flight of Passage, Tron. Am I missing one? Those would be the current e-tickets.
They should have just called it big ticket instead of e-ticket.
Yeah, okay.
Nowadays, what we would probably say,
it's going to be the newest and the most popular ride.
Okay, lightning round. Face character.
Face character is going to be any character where you actually see their face, like a princess, for example.
As opposed to someone who's
in a
covered
full
costume.
Covered
like
costume.
Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
Like Mickey.
Like Mickey.
Yeah.
Don't let your kids listen to this. Okay, virtual queue or virtual boarding group. Virtual queue.
Currently don't exist, but they usually use them for brand new rides to help control the lines. It's literally a virtual line, so you get in at a certain time of day. You enter it on your My Disney Experience app. It gives you a callback group. They'll let you know at some point. It's your boarding group. They'll let you know at some point in your day you'll get a notification time to come back to the ride, and then you go on and ride it.
And it's not guaranteed.
And not guaranteed.
And you said currently not available.
Currently
but
not
it's
available.
Very
there
popular, so it'll be back.
Yeah, there
Just
aren't
depends on
any
when you're
rides
listening to
currently as of this podcast that have them, but in the future, all of these new things that are coming, Monsters Inc. Land, all of those things will feature virtual queues. There just aren't any right now.
Okay, Lightning Lane. Key to the World card or Magic Mobile?
Ooh, I got it.
We already did Magic Mobile.
Sorry.
Oh, you do that one. Because I've got Key to the World.
Key to the World card.
We did Magic Mobile already.
Oh, we did. That's right.
Yep. So Key to the World card is it's basically what you get as your room key, right?
If you want one.
If you want one.
And
you
you
don't
want
have
one.
to have
You
it.
just call it a room key?
Just get it.
The reason they call it a Key to the World card
It does
is
everything.
because it does what your Magic Band does. It's your park ticket. It's your all of the things. So they call it a Key to the World card because it can do more than just be your room key. But it's for people that maybe don't want to be on their phones all day and don't want to use the Magic Band.
And if your ticket messes up at the gate with your Magic Band, you will get a key to the world.
Yep.
It'll be your ticket, and you'll need to use that for your fast passes
That's
or
what
your
happened to
lightning
you.
lanes all day.
Thanks.
Yep. Next.
So I had the keys to the world?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Next, the different hotel levels, which is, I know it's hard to get all these in, but value, moderate, and deluxe.
Okay, I'm going to go value. All stars.
Cheaper value.
Yeah, so
they're
value is
cheaper.
going to be your bottom tier, your cheapest tier, typically. Moderate's going to be right there in the middle, like moderate sounds.
It is. It is.
Deluxe.
Deluxe is the most expensive. So pretty much all three on the monorail are Grand Floridian, Contemporary, and Polynesian. And then also they're not on the monorail, but there's actually a couple more. So there's the Wilderness Lodge.
Yep.
And Animal Kingdom
Yeah.
Lodge.
So those are going to be your most pricey. Value's going to be your most affordable. You want to go somewhere in the middle? Hit up those moderates.
And each one of them you can go online and look at. Every time you go up, there's a little something special that happens all the way to the top.
Yep.
Luggage services.
Luggage services, that's at the front. That's where you can go if your room's not ready. You've either online checked in or you go to the desk to check in. Your room's not ready and you can leave your bags. And they'll sign them in and they'll keep them. Or if you have a late, like you guys, you guys need it because you guys are going on a trip soon or you're going to have a late flight. You can check your bags, go explore, come back, get your bags out.
Go to the airport.
And go to the airport.
All right. I see one more. Courtney, double check. Make sure we didn't miss anything. This is the last one I see. Blue tent. Also called guest relations or guest services. But a lot of times you'll hear them say, go to the blue tent.
Yes, blue tent itself is,
I think,
kind of its own separate thing. Yeah, you're good.
Oh, it is.
You're,
I
you're
thought.
You're learning.
See, I'm here learning too.
So your guest services or your guest relations, typically at the front of your park. It's going to be where you go if you have a question or a problem with anything.
Like someone loses all your lightning lanes.
Yes.
Yep.
The blue tent is a newer thing. It's kind of a station set up in the park meant to help out with your My Disney Experience app. So any problems that you have, if you can't link your friends, your lightning lanes are being weird, whatever, they are just actually in the park, so you don't have to go all the way out to the front, and they can help you out with any technical problems that you're going to have.
Good example for that one. If you booked your lightning lane for the wrong park and you don't have park hopper, or even if you do have park hopper, right? But the first part, like, because you got to have it right, you're going to want to go there, and they can help you fix that. But they can't give you a refund there. If you need a refund, you're going to have to go to the main part.
Super great with the tech side of things. So if you are challenged with that, something's not making sense, they will get you guys set up. So you see that blue tent, they will help you.
That's it.
That's all the ones we had written down. I'm sure there's somebody out there somewhere that has another million other things they want to know.
There's so many more, which is hard to believe because we did cover a lot.
And I think we're at an hour probably going on. Are we at an hour? Yeah, it's a long episode.
Hope you stay to the end.
Yeah,
thank you.
Hope you liked it.
Thank you guys for hanging in there. Hopefully you learned something new and it's, helpful. If there are terms that we use or terms that you guys see people using that you just aren't sure of, definitely comment and let us know, and we'll either do another episode or just let you know in the comment like what that means or what it is. Disney is kind of its own world in and of itself. So there's a lot of terms, a lot of lingos. We know it could be confusing. We try our best to explain it as we go, but we just wanted to do this episode so that way if you guys do hear some of these things, these are a lot of the keywords, a lot of stuff we talk about all the time.
At least you're familiar with it, and then that way you're not completely lost and thinking we're speaking a foreign language.
Yep. So that's Disney Lingo 101 for you guys. Thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you guys next time on To the Magic and Beyond.